Father, I just love you so much, and I praise you for just keeping everyone safe, me safe yesterday, Lord. I just ask you to be with my mom today on her birthday and have her have a good day. And Lord, Father, I just ask you to have me just die to self right now, Father. You just inhabit this body, take over this time. This is yours, Father. And I ask you to just bless this time and use it to your honor and your glory. In thy precious name I pray. Amen. Well, first of all, I'm delighted that you're here. And I'm so excited because this class, I believe, is about musicals, am I right? One time I was teaching a class. I was like 4, and you would know me, that I would do this. I was like 5-10 minutes into it. Someone finally was brave enough to raise their hand and said, "This is not that class. We're supposed to be teaching them something else right now." So I always say, I'm supposed to be doing that right now, and because that's just the me thing. We're going to talk about musicals this morning, but I do want to tell you how excited it was. I bring a lot of stuff because when that's one reason I don't fly, I drive, because when I drive here, I can bring a ton of stuff. And this time, because my daughter's getting married a week from Saturday, so all of you need to pray for me that we don't have to mortgage our house, you know. But it was a little bit harder to get away, but actually this is probably the best moment of my life, of my week, that I'm finally a little bit away and can take a breath from being so uptight and worried about getting everything finished and done for the wedding. But anyway, we're going to talk about musicals, and I'm a children's songwriter. I write musicals for churches and for children's choirs. I write mini musicals and full musicals, and in fact, it's really cool because yesterday I was on the phone with Steve Brown, who's from Georgia. Anybody from Georgia in here? Yay! Steve Brown, who's John Duncan. He's my really good friend, and they're going to do a Kids Fest in September, and I'm going to go and teach and be the choral person for that. And we were just planning and praying over what we were going to do for sure to make sure. I said, the one thing I did tell him, I said, give me until August the 3rd, which is the day after the wedding. I said, then I'm going to be totally mind on it. But anyway, we're already in planning for it, so it's going to be really cool. And I get to direct. And there's nothing I love more than to lead kids in worship. But anyway, so we're going to talk about musicals. And I'm also going to try to go quickly and fast because we have a lot to cover very quickly. And I'm also going to try to give you some input. I see some familiar faces that I've seen before. Whenever you come back and are in my class again, I'm always amazed that, oh my goodness, she came back, or he came back. It's really cool. The musical, why do we do musicals? Who can tell me why? And I'm going to repeat your answers because they're videoing. So tell me why. Why would we do a musical? Oh my goodness. Why? And there should be a handout somewhere. But I think, but tell me why. Why would you do musicals? Why do we do them? Yes. Go ahead, yeah.
As you said, provide a musical outlet.
To provide a musical outlet. To give the children a stage experience. I love that.
And they learn from it.
And they learn from it. See, they learn. I'm going to repeat your answers for the video. Because always the answers when I get this are great. And I want those folks out there to hear your answers, which are cool. More. Why do we do this? We're crazy. That's a good reason. Yes.
To reinforce a Bible story.
To reinforce a Bible story. Usually what we try to do so hard is to dig in the Bible and make it become real to kids. That's what we are trying to constantly do. We are trying to take something in their life and apply God to it. Apply God. Because you know something, it's really cool because when I know with musicals, when I'm writing them, it always applies to me. When I'm working on it, it will minister to me to touch it and play with it and look at those scriptures and do that Bible study. So realistically, we're doing a Bible study. When we do a musical, we should be doing a Bible study. Come right on in. I just started. Anybody else? Why do we do those? I love this stage. Yes?
To give children of all abilities a chance to perform.
You know know something? Yes. To give children of all abilities a chance to perform. Right on target. Because you know something, what happens a lot of times with kids, I don't know if you notice this, but when we are very choral, everything is very choral all the time. First of all, we lose boys a lot of times. We lose boys. And I have always tons of boys in my groups. Everything that I do, I have lots and lots of boys. I have an honors choir, and last year I had 70 children in my honors choir, and I would say at least 35 were boys, and that is a 5th grade group. Only 5th grade. And for them to be in my honors choir, they have to come to my school twice a week, and sometimes 3 times a week, an hour before school, both of those times. And the boys are first to get there every week. The boys are first. So it has to do with, a musical gives you a way where you can do instruments, where you can do movement, where you can do lots of different elements. You can do speaking parts, and you can do all different, it's a way for you to look at them and meet their needs. You see, musicals should be meeting the needs of the children. It shouldn't be all about us, it should be all about where they are. In fact, with Steve Brown yesterday, I said, Steve, I want you to send out an email to your children's choir workers while we're working on this, and I want you to ask them where their kids are right now. What are they needing right now? And let's design what we're going to do to meet their needs. And you know, he was like, absolutely, yes. You know, it was really cool. Tell me more. More.
Good opportunity for like showing teamwork and working
Okay,
together.
guess what? See how the Lord just starts talking through you guys? Isn't it lovely how He works? You know what? Teamwork is a big thing. Okay, teamwork with the children. Teamwork with the children, because the children really need to feel that kind of company feel. Like when you are in a musical, any kind of musical, there's a feel of teamwork. And you know something? It's really cool because I really try to make a point to prove to the children that someone singing in the choir is just as important as a person doing a speaking part on stage. That all parts of that link, in fact, I use a swing out on the playground always at the beginning of when I introduce a musical, that this is a chain link swing, and I said, what if one link of that chain is weak? What will happen? And they'll always go, golly, it would break. And I said, exactly. So that means the entire team has to be strong. But guess what else a musical does? It brings people out of the woodwork to help you, and suddenly you have people on your team leading with you that never would have done it ever in their life ever before. Suddenly you need someone to build sets, and suddenly you need someone to do costumes. Suddenly you have to delegate, which is not really in our mindset to ever delegate. I'm like a person who glues in the middle of the night, and I'm doing things all the time in the middle of the night to try to get things done as a musical, to do musicals. It makes you seek help. And when you seek help, then suddenly you've enlisted new workers. Workers will not come to you. You will have to go to them. And generally it has to be, please help me. And then all of a sudden you'll get a lifer, which is really cool to me. A lifer of someone who really sees a reason for being in children's music and children's musicals. So that's really cool too. That's very cool. I could go on and on, because guess what? Musicals have a huge benefit to children. They do, but because of time, because I'm going to zip, we're going fast on this whole thing. Musicals can be, move this to where, I'm just going to try to stay, here it is. I want to show you some ideas of some things to help you with your musicals and make sure that this works for you quickly, okay? One of the things I wanted to start with is set and costume, and then we're going to talk about casting and all that, and then I really want to, how I cast and how I do things. So that it doesn't mean I am the law, but it means that it has worked for me. Does that make sense? Okay. First thing I wanted to show you something, and I brought my saw, which I might not saw it for you, I might do it at the end, because it really makes a mess. But I'm all the time, I don't know if you noticed, but we are always needing sets of some kind, and usually you need some kind of interesting set of some kind. Something weird. I can guarantee you that there will be something weird in your life that you will need. Okay, here's a good example. This is for Lee's wedding. okay? She's having it at a place, and outside the place, we thought it would be really cool to put L&S for Lee and Scott on the fence out there, okay? This is insulation foam. Insulation foam. I don't know, have any of y'all used this before? Great. Insulation foam. And what I did was, I took my projector, I went online and found what I wanted online. It was a big L. And I found the kind of L I liked, and I took that L and I put it into my projector. I put it on my iPad, actually it was on my computer. I sent it through my projector, and just because of time, I'm not going to do all of it because we've got a lot to cover in 1 hour. Okay, I put it in there, I projected it on the screen. I put my big giant insulation board, which by the way cost about $11, for a gigantic 4 by 8 foot piece of it. I put it up there and I traced what I wanted to do. I traced it with a magic marker. I traced right on. Now, on the back, there's a coating on the back of plastic. Usually I yank that off. And the only reason I generally yank it off is because I don't want it to get caught in my saw. But generally, you can even cut with it on there, so don't worry about it. But you always paint on the side that has no writing, okay? You can paint on this side, but you're just gonna have more layers of paint. You can paint that away. You can make it front and back, and I'm actually doing it for something for Lee. But I cut this out with a jigsaw. That's all I did. I cut it out with a jigsaw. This is an example of paper, and at the end, if I get a chance, I brought my jigsaw to prove to you how I can do it like in 3 seconds. We cut out just tons of things for the wedding, but I do it for musicals. I've done church musicals and city musicals, like we did Beauty and the Beast. And in Beauty and the Beast, we did, a lot of churches are also doing like summer theater with their children sometimes, besides just children's choir musicals. And we did Beauty, and you know, Beauty and the Beast has the teapot and has all that. Well, I went online, I found a teapot, I blew it up, I put it around the kid's neck, and it was the teapot. It was perfect. So to make sets, and if you're ever like seeking, how do I make a set? You can email me, I will help you with that. I will help you get that done, because I can even send you like some of my patterns and things that I've done. If you just want to write the letters up there, it takes, you know, I cut out, I mean, and that's a person, you might not want to use the jigsaw, but my husband just loves it. He just drives that jigsaw all through it and cuts out all those things for me. So that's just a little bit of set ideas. Anybody else have set ideas they would like to share? Yes?
I just wanted to say, if you go to Home Depot or one of those places to get that board,
Yes.
and you tell them it's for a church, they might donate it.
They do it all the time. And here's that, they really will donate those big sheets. And here's the thing, they will. If you go to the manager and tell them, I've done, especially Home Depot seems like they're very good about it. But Lowe's, we have a Lowe's too, and I've gone there for paint. The other day I went there for paint for a thing, and the lady had a discount, actually it was a bucket full of, like a thing full of free. And she looked at me and she goes, I already know you're here, and here's a whole thing of free. And I just carted it on, you know, because she knew I always want everything, you know, my garage is scary. But anyway, so things like that, you can come up with ways to do things that are inexpensive, but yet very functional. And you don't spend a lot of money. Yes?
We have the pipe and drape
Yes.
separators, and so we put those on the stage, and sometimes if it's in a palace, we'll just, you know, pin some drapes onto that to make one side look like a palace. One time we did Elijah, and so we created a mountain out of felt and stuck that onto a white back drape.
And see, that is to me, what you do, and you know what, I love everything you just said, and let me tell you why I really love what you just said, because she was saying that she used her backdrop to basically enhance the backdrop. Now, you know what, I'm kind of a believer that the set ought to be more simple and the kids ought to be special. So I'm more of a person, that's why I don't mind jigsawing something out and not spending a lot of money on the set. I'll spend money on making costumes and all kinds of things for the children. I took t-shirts and just slit them and tied them in knots, and in the knot of the things, I tied a little piece of tulle, And suddenly I had little ballerina outfits, and the girls just absolutely loved them. They thought they were gorgeous. And I made them out of men's old t-shirts. And so, trust me, there is a way to do things always. I'm a big believer on trying to stick to the budget, maybe not in weddings, but in everything else. I do believe that we should I try to stick to budgets so that you, now, let's keep going because of time. I want to try to help you realize how musicals can be fun. They can be. They can be really, really fun. In fact, they can be one of the most rewarding experiences of your year. One of the big pluses of musicals, which is it brings in the kids. It will bring the kids. Attendance can be like this when you're not doing a musical. When you're doing a musical, suddenly the parents get focused about getting them there when they're supposed to be. That is a plus, that's a minus, because sometimes when the minus part is, why don't you get them here all the time? Why do I have to have a musical? Why it is frustrating sometimes as a choir person to have your numbers drop immediately after the musical is over. And it is a little bit of annoying, but here's the joy. The joy is that the musical does bring them in. I just did a music camp in North Carolina, and we had 11 children saved that week. 11 children. And you know something? That is a big, big plus. A lot of times it's an outreach to kids outside your church. You will get the transient kids in. So when we're depressed about having the transient inside and out kind of folks, remember that this might be your one and only opportunity to express Christ to them. And that is definitely a draw to get them in, because almost every mom and dad will come and watch their kids sing, and grandparents will watch them sing. Okay, let's talk about how the components of musicals and how I do it. Let's get through that so that I know I get this done, and we have also question and answer time. How do I do it? Okay, first of all, I've got my musical stuff. Here it is. I was going to show you, I have a cue card system, and I know, have any of y'all ever told you about the cue card system? Good. The cue card system is fantastic. I'm glad. If the whole room raised their hand, then I was going to skip it. But I will not skip it, except for that I do need my bag to open. You know, okay. I'm going to go through the cue card system really quickly at the beginning to help you understand this. This will change your world. If you come, you know why God is such a great God? Because when I am so, you know, it says when I am weak, He is strong. Well, guess what? In the middle of all of this, when I'm in the middle of, then He comes up with ideas and throws them into my head, and then suddenly it's more efficient, and I'm more efficient. Okay, here we go. In a musical, one of the most difficult things for children and for you, I know as me as a director, and I've directed tons of them, is the blocking and the set and the actual day you put them on stage and you go, oh my goodness, and it can be an epic novel rehearsal of where you're yelling a lot and where you're frustrated a lot, and you realize some kid doesn't know. Well, and this is what has happened to me. When you work in public school, because I'm a public school teacher too, I teach at church and I teach at school and I teach music camps, I teach children everywhere. I'm always in a situation where I have limited time. Very limited time. And so because of that, I have to learn to be efficient with my time. And I have to figure out a way to do it where at the end, we have it done, but I have that only a lot of time. I cannot go over at all. You know, at church we can kind of fudge a little bit later and we're out 30 minutes later than we thought. But at school I have no time. I have to stop. So I have to be efficient. So here's what we do. Let me show you. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate this to you very quickly. It's the best way to explain it, okay? Numbers, my numbers are 1 through 30, okay? I've really never gone to 30, I don't think ever. 20 is probably my limit, maybe 25, depending on what I'm doing. But I'm going to show you something. Okay, y'all two will be cue card number 1. And when I hold this up, I'm going to have you come up and do something. You're number 1. You've got your,
Oh, I'm fine.
are you good?
Yeah.
You can be cue card number 2.
Okay.
Okay, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll just do the 4. Okay, that'll be good. Okay, ready? Now I go through the musical when I do a musical, but it doesn't even have to be a musical. Any presentation, even if you're doing a Christmas production where you sing songs and someone does scripture and whatever, anything that you do, there is an order of worship. There is. And an order, basically, of what is happening on stage. So you would begin, usually I write it on the board, but usually the first thing you would do is you would put, number 1, you would go, enter. Right? We have to enter first. Number 2 would maybe be a speaking part, let's say it is. Number 3 would be, like we just did Splash Kingdom in North Carolina, and we had some kids come on stage and throw around beach balls while we sang the opening number. That was number 3. Number 4, you see what I'm saying? You look at the musical and assign a number. Don't think of it as scene numbers. Assign a number to the activity that is happening on stage. You understand? That could be playing a worship tool, like an instrument of some kind, or like some little girls that come out and do this, you know. It can be anything that happens on stage, assign it a number. Now, what is really cool about when I cast this thing, anytime I cast, I have a sheet, and by the way, I really wanted you to take this because if you email me, I will email you my complete, this is pages and pages, it's a little booklet thing that I have for musicals, and I will email the whole thing to you. I mean, it's no cost. I'll just email it to you, my entire summer music camp schedule and how I audition, all my forms, everything. I will email it to you. So grab one of those, it's got my email address on it. It says email me, but that's one of the big things you'll get. And then I'll send you like a discount thing too if you want me to. I mean, I won't have to, but whatever. That one thing you would really like to have. But I can't ever print it. And it's better if you get it electronically anyway because you can play with it and make it yours, okay? So anyway, after this, even when I assign that, guess when I do that? Before we begin the musical. I sit down, I plan what we're going to do. I say, this is the first thing's going to be this, the second thing is this, the third thing is this, the fourth thing is this. When I send out the form, which is in that packet I will send you, when I send that or give the kid their congratulations, you have received the following part. Every single kid in my choir, every single time, receives one of those. It doesn't mean, because every kid gets some kind of part. I really am a believer in that. So then I send it out and I said, and the important message, your cue card number is number so-and-so. And I always say, this is just as important to know this as your part. With the kids at church and at school sometimes, see your lanyards that you have on. I have lanyards and I will put in their lanyard, I will put their name and put their cue card number on it. I will do it. And the day that we're doing our blocking, we will all wear this, but you don't even have to have lanyards. You can do it with yarn and a little piece of it. But I'm even going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I have even written it on their hand. Because my parents love me and have never fired me for writing on their hands. So I have written it on their hands. I will write like number 1 or 2 on their hands. And they stand like this. So this is what happens. We start we are now in the sanctuary. Okay, now here's the preparation. Every time when I am in the rehearsal, from the day I begin till that day, I call the solos, solo cue card number 5, solo cue card number 6. So the children they learn it with that in mind. The number is associated with their solo. So when I hold up their number, they go, come right on in, you're good, come right, you're not bothering me at all. I promise I love that you're good. When I hold up the number, they already have that in their head, you understand? So they automatically know. So here's my rehearsal. Now when you do, this is what we do wrong as directors. What we try to do is do the musical, because we're dying to see it, aren't we? You're dying to see it. Whenever you do the musical, when you get all the kids in there, you cannot wait to sing it. and do it. Well, I'm going to ask you to be patient and don't start until you do a silent run-through. And a silent run-through means that no one can be working with costumes over there. No one in the whole place can talk. Everybody's quiet. And I really say, give me 15 minutes and a silent run-through, and we will have this thing blocked, and we will be ready to run through it. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. Ready? They would come out when they see their number, and believe me, they're like this, or they're holding their lanyard like this. They're so excited because they want to do it. Now, I would say, you're going to be right here, and you're going to be right there. You will be at that microphone, you will be at that microphone. Thank you, you're done. Go back to your spot. Ready? Two. There we go. There's not going to be two. You're going to do your ballet right here. Okay, thank you.
Do I do it then?
Not yet.
Oh, I just.
No, I'm giving, what am I doing?
And-
I'm blocking you. I'm
And then do
telling.
I sit down?
Then you sit right down. Do you see how fast I'm doing this? Number 3. You're going to sing your solo right here at this moment. Okay, good job. Thank you. Number 4. Okay, I need you guys to actually play your instrument right here at this microphone. Okay, got that? Thank you. Okay. In 15 minutes, if everyone is quiet, and I go through and give them their note. Now, immediately, the next thing I do, immediately after I do this, I do this. Show me what I told you to do. I didn't say a word. You're done? Perfect. You're done? You're done? You see how I just blocked the musical in like 30 seconds? And guess what? I went all the way to cue card 4 in about 30 seconds. And I really promise you, most musicals never go past about 20. Because generally, when you add all the solos, because sometimes a solo, let's say you have, sometimes you could have 3 little solos on the same number. You understand? It could be that solos and dancers are on the same number. We even use the number for exits. Okay, hold this up. If you are an exit to go get in your costume, this is your number you exit on. Everything has to do with numbers, okay? Then you say, oh, but Pam, I got all the way to the finish line, and then guess what happened? We forgot that we wanted to add, like someone playing an oboe. You know what I mean, something. I wanted to add something. You go, what can I do? Well, I have insert numbers. And there it is. There's an insert. Here's another insert. Children will respond to what they see. They're very visual, and they will respond to that. And it doesn't matter. You want to know something? This is really funny. I've done programs at my school, and the kids would, I would accidentally hold up the wrong number. The kids go, I'm in front of the stage. You're holding up the wrong number. They will correct me. It really will happen. So try this method. Make yourself one set of cue cards. You'll use them the rest of your life. I laminated mine because I use them so much. I have worn out cue cards just for years, but these are. But even then, I mean, I even give them to different. I don't even do the cue cards anymore because everybody loves doing them so much that I have a cue card person. We mark our books. Everyone's books are all marked together. I usually have a cue card person here and a cue card person here. So they are totally in sync. They're holding the cards. The kids come out and do it. And guess what? Once you block it, do a silent run through. The blocking has to be silent. The silent run through has to be silent because that's a review, a quick review. Then all of a sudden, you have the musical block. And you want it's amazing? Almost amazingly, the next second after you do that 15 minutes, you can do a complete run through. And it will be perfect. You will be amazed how different your life will become. So that's a big. Now, okay, let me go through more. Casting, okay? I'm going through, like, these are things that I always think are meat, kind of like, and then I'm gonna try to save some time. Casting, okay. First of all, I'm gonna warn you. This is how I do it, okay? generally when kids come in for a casting, I really do believe in this. I'm going to challenge you to try to listen to every kid sing in your choir every year from time to time. Because there will be kids that will not show up to casting things just simply because they're shy. Just because they're shy. Or just because they fear they won't make it. That's really more it. Because they're very competitive. So a really competitive child will, sometimes the parent will use shyness as the reason, but it is not, it is the fear of not making it, not getting it. So that is generally why they do it. So I also do not really too much believe in trying out for specific parts, okay? When they show up, I do not like tryouts where people walk in and say, I only want to be so-and-so. Because generally I say, well then you probably shouldn't audition because I might not give you that. And they know not to say that to me. I mean, they absolutely know not to say that to me because I pray and ask God to lead me as to who gets what. Every kid who tries out gets something. If I have to take another solo and like a line, it makes my life easier. I just take a verse of a song and go, guess what? That's a solo now, you know. And if you're using a track, you can turn it down. Live instruments, there's no problem. You just sing that. Like, you know, live is great because of that one thing, and I'm a big lover of live music. But I really do try to give every single kid something to do. And if you look at it, that's why it's really kind of cool before you begin to analyze how many kids you have, how many things you have in your, how many things you got to come up with. You got a lot of boys, they really like, you know, one of the times I did, we did a musical by, I think it was at my church, Jimmy and Gail Getson. It was something, and it was about a car thing. It was really cute. And I was in charge of the Orff instruments, but instead of using Orff, I used tires and tire things, and we made a complete drum set out of all this stuff. We got a standing ovation in the middle of the musical from playing tires. A standing ovation. It was really cool. And it was all boys. Had all boys. So it doesn't mean they have to sing, and I really want you to really branch out and look at your musical and see how you can incorporate non-singing roles into what you're doing. I love the singing, of course, but I also realize that your children are multi-talented. Some of them are better at that, especially your boys like hands-on learning. They're much more into hands-on learning. Okay, when a kid would walk in for an audition, but even I really believe in audition night where everybody comes in and everybody auditions. I like that. When they walk in, a lot of times friends, like here's my friend, she and I would go and sign up on the same thing because we are friends, we're buds, okay? So what I would do instead, give them a sticker of different colors, you know, try to divide it into maybe 3 or 4 groups, at least 3 groups if possible, and make sure that if friends come in together, you just give them all different colors. And say all the reds go over here, all the blues go here, all the greens go there, so that friends are separated, because especially girls will tend to follow a leader, and they will, we're going to dance, well then they're all going to dance, you understand? And I would really much rather it be their personal choice than to be led by a girl, strong girl. And we know that, don't we, ladies? Okay, that happens, okay? So everybody signs up. Now, when they walk in, this is very critical, and I have the sheet, so if you want to send me an email, I'll give it to you. When they come in, I have them sign up, and actually I just have a worker there that says, what is something you're interested in? Here's the categories. Tell me what you're interested in. We write their name down, and next to it, we check off maybe 2 or 3 things of their choices that they would like to do. Now, believe it or not, I do that. I ask them, what would you like to do? Now, look at the list, okay? And I write it on the board. I don't have a board in here, but I'm going to show you. I would write instrument player. Let's see, non-speaking role, or non-speaking acting role. Let's do movement, solo, speaking part, okay? Now what was interesting about the order I did that? Did you notice?
Solo's first thing on it.
Right. Now why would I not put it first?
It's intimidating.
Okay, intimidating, and what else is it? It's your right. Solo, children, always remember, and I just wrote a musical called I Am First. Children look at order. as to your importance or value. So if you put something first, they consider that you think it's the most important. Always get that. Always remember that. Everything that you do, children look at order. Order. Okay? So what you put first, they think of as the most important thing. This is the most important thing. She thinks solos are the most important. So I really want to get that. So did you notice I put instrument player first? Okay? Because a lot of times kids go, I want to be an instrument player. And you know what? I put it first. I put it first. Then I put non-speaking acting role. An actor takes lots of courage and lots of inward something to come up with an acting part and not say anything. It's very exciting to look scared. You understand? And you can't say anything. That's really cool. I always really even describe it like that. So they go, wow, I think I want to do that. She loves that. You see my point? They look at what I deem in my order. So be cautious. I caution you right now to be careful how you put things down on paper in front of children. Because they really, if you notice, they will fight over who gets the first of the line to get a drink. Remember that. They will fight over it. He cut is the biggest thing. He cut me. I go, we're going to the same place. We're all going to get a drink. Everybody's going, they got in front of me. It's like, oh my goodness. So be cautious about your order of putting things in front of them in an order. So if you do that, put it always in a reverse order. Put it in a reverse order as to what you think they would think. Okay? Okay, and here's the other thing. I put solo and speaking part last. Because then, here you go. They have to get all the way down that list to the end. And if someone's really looking for a solo or a speaking part, they got to look through all of these others to get to that. And that means they're really interested in it. They're very interested in doing that special part. You understand? So I always believe a person who's really digging deep, that's a person who really wants to try it. A person who just sees it the first thing and checks it off, then they could not possibly be sincere and ready for it. Being ready for it also means you looked for it. Okay? It's a sign.
You
Okay.
also say to do 3 or 4?
Yeah, I would probably limit it to 3. 2 is not even bad, but 3 is good because then when I'm casting, I use that and I give them one of those choices. I really don't even like first, second, and third choice. I don't like it that way. I say, what are 3 things in this thing or 2 things that you would really like to do? I don't like first choice, second choice because I pray over it and I believe God helps me pick for them from their choices what He wants them to do. So I don't really like first, because if I say first and second choice, see, I'm lending myself back to my thing I'm against. So I don't really like that. Okay? Okay. Here we would come in. The kids would come in and sit down. Ooh, gotta hurry. They would come in and sit down in a circle. I would sit a group down. I use my workers to try them out, okay? And the workers would do this. Okay. Here we go. I love you. Echo me. Mary had a little lamb. See how beautiful voice. Then we would go, Mary had a little lamb. See how she followed my voice? All you have to do to try out a kid to see if they can match pitch is to sing what I call around the world singing. And that means you can sing Mary Had a Little Lamb and you know immediately if you change pitch and sing the same thing. Now, you sing to me and let me match you. Just sing anything. Say Mary had a little lamb. Anywhere. Mary had a little lamb. Did you see I didn't match pitch? It's a sign they're probably not ready for a solo. Okay? Not. And they might even hit the first pitch right, but then the second one, if you move, they might have trouble finding it. They have trouble. Now, my worker, I don't usually audition them like this. I don't. Because I also don't need to be the bad guy all the time. You understand? Here's another reason why you do it. A bunch of y'all have children. You'll never pick your own children or grandchildren. You will never do it. If you do this the way I'm telling you to do, then your children will get parts. And you know something? And you won't feel guilty about it. You don't feel guilty. So set a worker down. Say, oh, this is what I want you to do. There's only 2 things you do. You have them sing Mary Had a Little Lamb, just that, and move. So you need someone who can do that. Now at the end, you have every kid has got a sheet filled out that I'm going to give you. And on the sheet, it has ratings, okay? It has a place to put a rating. Okay, you work with your workers and you come up with your own code for rating. One code would be happy face. They really can't sing. So you draw a big happy face on their rating sheet because the children can see it. A big happy face, that could mean the children cannot match pitch. You understand? 100 could mean that's a soloist. Like a check plus. You know, always trying to think of something fun in front of them so the children go home, I got a check plus. That's great. You understand? They see that, they like it, they don't know your system, so they don't have any idea that it can be really a slam. But it's not a slam, you understand? That sounds mean. But anyway, now someone knows. But anyway, the point I'm saying is that they will understand that this is, you see what I'm saying? Okay. Now, next, there is you then take those forms. Also, I usually like Dr. Seuss. I don't really like him to read for specific parts. It's weird, but I don't. Dr. Seuss is great. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You've got brains in your head. You see, you know. Okay, I get that and I put it on a little piece of paper. And I say, read that for me. And I make every single person read that for me. Some children will go, congratulations, you've got it. And I always say, read with expression. Read to me like you're reading to a 2-year-old, like I'm a little kid. And if you're going to watch me, you're going to, you understand? So I encourage them. I give them an example of how I want it done. And actually, in the United States, here's a big help for you for your theater part. When a kid, Americans, when we speak, we always go, congratulations, today is your day, you're off to a place, you're off and away. We always end on a low note. When we do it, it's like we're falling down with our pitch when we do it. Pitch with your, in speaking parts, you should always teach your children to end on a high note at the end of a sentence. If you do that, it will automatically be more exciting. I work in the studio with kids all the time, and a kid that you can actually do that with, that they get it, they're a true performer. They are really great because I can go, they could do that and I go, well, I need your pitch to be up on it. And I always use the Chinese because the Chinese language actually has pitch to it. And you could say, they can say the same thing here and say it in a different pitch and it'll mean something totally different. It's very cool language. But anyway, so have them read for you and do the very same kind of labeling so that you will understand who is ready. Okay, then you take all these sheets and compile. Now, I do believe that it's okay to have callbacks and call a few kids in that you want to do specific parts and have them read those special parts after you do it. But here's the thing, and I promise this. There has not been a time that I did not have my big long task list, cue card number list, the one that I do, and I have always blanks next to it. Who's going to be number 1, who's going to be number 2, who's going to be number 3. I have this big long list on this side. I have my kids, before I begin casting, I say a prayer. Dear Lord, put this together. I have never, and out of all of these years I have taught, out of all the musicals I have done, we have never, ever not had a blending that was really just perfect. It really was perfect, like the right kid doing the right thing at the right time. And then, you know what else is cool about it? I always have the leaders pray with the kids before we do it to start, to say, I always should have said that first. To say, Lord, help us lead to do the right thing. So if a parent comes to me and is like, wah, wah, then I go, we prayed about it. We're done. We prayed, we're done. I don't ever discuss it. I don't go through it. I don't do that. I won't rehash. I won't talk about it. Even though I love to talk, I won't talk about that. Let's go, we're done. I prayed about it, we're done. Come back again. You know, every part, and this is what I always tell a parent, I have told parents before, when you come to me and say you're sad your kid didn't get something or other, then it infers that you think that the kid that got something else, that I see them as different levels, and I don't. So it really bothers me because I do not see any part as more important than the other. So when you infer that to me, it bothers me. And I tell them, I say, every kid's equal to me. So please do not do that. Okay. That's casting. I know, I've got to hurry. Okay, I was gonna do this real quick, and then I'm gonna give about, like, at least 5 minutes. Is this helping you? Is this going good? Okay. Why do we do summer music camps? I'm really a believer in summer music camps, doing summer camps. I'm gonna encourage you to try to, it doesn't have to be a musical, it can be a worship camp, like the one we're talking about doing in Georgia. We're talking about doing a worship camp. I do all different kinds. Why do you do music camps in the summer? It is really an outreach thing. We've had parents are always trying to stick their kids in something in the summer. And you will get lots of kids in to help that you will never see any time of the year. You will get them in the summer. So I really believe in that. I have schedules in that packet that if you would like for me to, to send all that out to you, I'd be glad to do it. Movement, I really believe in it. I know most of us, there's some maybe not. I'm a Baptist. We say movement, it's dance. There's nothing wrong with it. I put Shout to Lord Kids on my thing over there. I love Psalm 150 because, I put Psalm 150 over there because I love it. It's praise Him with timbrel and dancing. Praise Him with everything you've got. And you know what? Some kids are dancers. Some little girls love to. Isn't it just the coolest thing to see some little girls get up on stage that we just did, and this is what's in the picture in my mind, is we had a whole bunch of preschoolers in that summer music camp. Oh my. A whole bunch for some reason. So we took all the little girls, and there's a song that's called Bubble and Joy in Splash Kingdom. And so we had all the little girls be bubbles. And we took those white t-shirts, I told you that we did that too, and we attached balloons to them, and they just walked in circles. It was the cutest thing you've ever seen, ever in your life. And it was adorable. And that was their way. And guess what? Their parents, it was like a flash camera. It was like being on Broadway. They're flashing cameras of all the parents, loving it so much, seeing their children perform like that. I believe in movement. I believe that it's just part of your casting process. Any questions, and then I'll talk about prima donna mamas, if you want me to. Yeah. Any questions? Anybody any question like that you've had, because we've got about 6 minutes left. I want to make sure that we stop at 9, right? Yes.
Do you use instrumentalists?
I do. You know what? Now I'll tell you this. This is the good part about my life, is I'm in many different facets of life. I do different things all over the place. I use live instruments sometimes, and I really love live because we can vamp something and okay, that kid's not there yet, keep vamping. I always tell my companies, I say, you have to read my mind every second on stage and go over there and, keep going. If I'm looking at you going, you keep it going. With a track, you can do that. You can do that. But here's the joy of a track. The joy of the track is that it's the same every time. Not as expensive and not as trying to get all the instruments together and practice and get the tempos the same time in a row. You have to be very you understand what I'm saying. Oh, wow, that was fast that time, and now that's slow this time. And the dancers are doing this groovy thing, and all of a sudden it turns into like this. It's usually my choreographer who's going get the tempos together. I go, I'm doing it, I promise. But so I see good things to both sides. And you know what? There are some churches, there are smaller churches, that track is their way. They have no other way. There are some churches that have tons of musicians in their church and can do it. I also believe you got to really always have a boundary to your musicians and make sure they're not too loud, because that is a problem sometimes when you get so much happening on stage that the kids lose the focus on the children, and this is a child time. So I spoke, this is a time for the kids, and I usually kind of just share that with the band at the beginning of every start-off rehearsal. I always believe in preemptive methods, like say it before they do it. Say it before they do it, then they won't do it. Generally, that's how it works, okay? More, yes. Anybody else? Questions?
I guess we have a smaller church and maybe some children have several cards.
I love that.
So
How would you
those
do the
two
cue
cards? Yeah.
Guess what?
They probably are
High
smart.
five, high five,
They're
high five.
probably smart enough to figure
Guess
it
what?
out.
Guess what? What would you do? Tell me, what would you do if you have a kid who has more than one punch? Because almost everybody has, a lot of kids will have more than one punch. You put 2 numbers on. They just remember that I'm a 2 and a 7. And the kids will remember it. You know what is really amazing? All they do, the people, I even give the speakers generally a cue card number. Like every scene is a cue card number. And why would I do that? Because sometimes I'm holding up, let's say it's scene 1, and I hold up a 5 or something, you know, or 2. I hold up the number 2. It's not about the scene, so don't confuse that. I would hold up the 2 because that's a sign that someone has to exit. You see? So so the speaker parts, the actors, they could have, you know, 8 numbers. They could actually have 8 numbers. Generally, they don't need the numbers because they have rehearsed. Here's another thing about the blocking, which I completely forgot. Don't rehearse. By the time the kids get into the sanctuary, you should not have to be rehearsing. That should be, the drama should be done. So when you pull the drama, it shouldn't be, you should have very minimal tweaking of drama. Rehearse your drama on stage with no children present, except for drama. Because the children back there, first of all, they'll get bored, you're distracted. Now when it's really on tack, they'll be engaged and they will love it. And suddenly they'll pay more attention and they'll get, oh, this is the coolest thing ever, the play's happening. You know, they will see that. So I went on their little card, I put, you know, I hate to tell you, I have a permanent marker on their hands. But the kids, but I know a safe way to do it is those little packs of cards, you can get 1 million of them in a thing, you know, little index cards, punch 1 hole, piece of yarn. You got it. And you know, and they even keep them. Some of them keep them, they love them because they go, this was my cue card number back in so-and-so, and this was my cue card. I mean, they love it. They remember their cue card number. Isn't that silly? But they love it. The kids don't want to throw them away or recycle. We want to keep our cards. We hang them up and we have them in our room from our programs. You know, Miss Pam, we really want to do that. More questions? Anybody else? Because I've got about 2 more minutes. Anybody's questions? Well, this is the thing. Musicals, honestly, can change lives. You know what? When I was a little girl, I was in Cool in the Furnace. Do you remember that? It's cool. In the furnace, man. Cool. I remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Remember all that? I remember being in that and loving that. And it was so cool. And I was just a singer. I mean, I just stood there and sang. And I just loved it, though. And here we had these cards. It was really neat. And Mr. Irvin Keithley in Poplar Bluff, Missouri was directing us, and I think her name was Letty Long, was the girl director. We had a boy director and a girl director, you know, because we had the boys' choir and the girls' choir, and we would come together to do the musical. And we did it. It was so wonderful. And you know, even to this day, I remember that. One biggie, and it's time to go. And I say this in almost every class. So if you come back, I'll probably say it again. So have patience with me. If I said to you, let's write every scripture we know on the wall up there. Okay, I've said this before, so in case you remember. If I said that, how long could we do it? I'm pretty good. I told everybody I was a GA. We memorized the entire Bible. I really did. I was a GA. Back when we really memorized scripture, remember I was queen with something or another. And had to tell the whole life of Christ in front of the church. You understand that? You have felt my pain. Okay. And so I remember sitting and just sweat pouring off my face, trying to get through the Beatitudes, you know, to make sure I had it. And they were King James, so it was, we had all the these and thous in there, so it was really not easy. But anyway, how long can we do that? We could maybe do it, we could do it for like an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3, maybe pretty long time, if we wrote them on the wall. But we couldn't duplicate, like one Jesus wept. But then if I said to you, how long, if we sang every song we know, how long would we do it? Every Mary Had a Lamb, every nursery rhyme, every hymn, which I know a whole lot of hymns. How long would we do that? It would almost be non-ending. It would almost be we would never stop. Well, how come you know all of that and you don't know that? Because, and I'm going to tell you, music lives in the right brain, and that is where memory lives. So when you put something in the head of a child with a song, they will not forget it. when you, and I love Sunday school, but if they memorize something really quick, more than likely by the time they get to the car, they will not remember it. But if you sing it to them, they'll be singing it all the way home. And the next week, and the next day, and then suddenly their family's singing it because they've heard it so much. They will sing it forever because it is permanently embedded on their brain. So when you're doing this, always pick a musical that is really designed for the children. Don't always feel like you have to do a full musical, do a minute musical, write your own musical. That's how I became a songwriter. I wrote my own musicals. I started writing, I would gather up songs and I'd put it together, and then suddenly I started writing my own songs and putting it together. And writing your own thing means you're really in tune with what your kids are. It's okay to do that. I love that. Don't always feel like that. Try, really seek what God wants you to do. Let me pray and then we'll go. I never. Okay, here we go. Dear Father, first of all, I just thank you for my friend. I thank you that she's here, and I just love you, Father, so much that you're just such a gracious God. Give me friends like Barbara, and Lord, just and this whole room full of friends. Lord, I just lift each of them up to you as they work on musicals with kids. Father, it's a daunting task when you start, but Father, the reward is awesome. Lord, I just ask you to bless them and be with them as they go through this year, and bless them today. Make every conference and every leader, Father, be all of your design. In thy precious name I pray, amen. Let me tell you two quick things that you've got to go. I was leading a music camp in North Carolina. A little girl was singing a solo, and in the middle of the solo, when she started singing, the mic didn't come up. It did not come up until almost the very end of the solo. She got about 3 words out and off, and probably 3,000 people were there. I'm the director. I knew what I had to do. I turned around, I stopped, and it was a track. I said, we're going to do that again. We did it again. She sang a solo. We went on. Because that's perfection. I'm an OCD, love my wash clouds, quoted the same direction. Okay, scary. But also, guess what? At the end of that, and this is my best story, and then you can go with this. At the end, the mom, there was a lady who comes out, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I go, well, fine. And she said, my daughter was the one who, her solo messed up. And she had a beautiful voice, this little girl. And I said, oh, you don't know me, but I would do that in a heartbeat. That's not a big step. I said, that's a me thing. She goes, no. She goes, you don't realize tonight her grandfather was here, and he was not saved. And he looked at me after you did that. And he said, I now understand what being a Christian's all about. And you know what? You changed lives. I love you. See you later.